So, when did you decide, or how did you decide to switch from producing wings to creating seasoning?
Well, when I finally came here to Las Vegas with the hot wing business and creating all them different sauces, 40 different sauces, they all have a different flavor, a different taste. So when we were creating the hot wings and we were doing the caterings and things like that using my recipes and everything, people kept asking me, what do I put in my food to make it taste good? So I broke down those recipes and broke down the ingredients and created the different seasonings, which would be your blackened seasoning, your vegetable seasoning, and your rub at that time.
And you knew how to do that because of your family's involvement
in the restaurant industry.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the fact I used to like to break down stuff and see what makes things tick. I was always fascinated with, because I was not eating meat and everything, I was always fascinated with labels when it come down to what's in stuff, like sugar, salt, MSG, things of that nature. And then you research that even deeper and you find out what it's doing to people, what it's doing to the body. So I decided when I created the seasonings that I wasn't going to put that type of thing in it. I was going to make sure that they were going to be healthy, low in sodium, you know, no MSG, no sugar, so that people will have a better, you know, flavor, plus they don't have to skimp on putting it on their food because of the salt, sugar, you know, MSG stuff that's in most foods today. So that's how I created the seasonings. I just broke down my recipes to create the flavor. Because when it's on food, it's a different flavor. When it's in the bottle, it's a different flavor. So when you can create and you break down the formula to the gram and you consistently stay on that same formula, the flavor on the food and the flavor in the bottle is the same, except for the juices of the flavor in the meats, you know. Other than that, it blends, and once it blends, it becomes gourmet.
So how do you determine how it's going to taste if you're not eating meat, or you're not eating fish, or you're not eating chicken? How can you tell?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that question. Because people don't realize and understand is that before they season the meat, it has no flavor. And the flavor that it does have is raw. And the flavor that it does have when it's not cooked is blood. So it's got a blood flavor to it, and it's got a raw flavor to it. It doesn't have any taste, it's just meat. What makes it flavorful is the seasoning. So when we created the seasoning, it was to the taste. If you are like a Cajun seasoning, if you have, take our blackened seasoning for instance, it has a Cajun flavor. It has Cajun spices in it. So it has a Cajun flavor to it, along with the other flavors that's involved into it, which is the garlic, the onion, and stuff like that. Take the rub, it has a lemon pepper base. So you research, you find out, well, a lot of barbecuers, grillers, and things like lemon pepper in their, everybody puts lemon pepper in their seasonings when they're doing a grilling, when they're barbecuing. All you hear is lemon pepper and this and that. The only thing I didn't do was, you know, put in molasses and all that into a sauce. I never did that into my barbecue sauce when I was doing my sauces, so I wouldn't put it in my seasonings when I put it in my rubs. So it was just a basic flavor ingredient that you put in there. Like, take the vegetable seasoning is concerned. In the vegetable seasoning, we put crushed chili peppers, okay, to give it that sweet, because of those crushed chili peppers has a sweet flavor to it, you know. So it enhanced the rest of the ingredients, which is the garlics and your other ingredients that we do put in to the product. But it's all based on measurement. Formula is key. I can sit here and I can pick up a can out of the store and read the ingredients. But I'm just seeing the ingredients. The measurement of those ingredients is what gives it that flavor that it has. Like you take your other seasoning companies, which I won't mention, but you take your other seasoning companies. They have a formula that they put together, and that's what gives them their flavor. You know, the one we were speaking on earlier that everybody uses, but it's killing them as far as high blood pressure and diabetes because it has so much salt in it and it has so much MSG in it and things like that. You know, that's where you have a company that doesn't really care about the consumer. He only cares about the dollar. You know, when you care about the consumer, you know, and their health and the benefits of it, they respect you a little bit more because then they know that you're not just about the dollar. You're all about trying to reduce medical insurance costs. You're trying to reduce the different things. Like take the vegetable seasoning, for instance. I'm trying to get it into the prisons. Because right now, diabetes and high blood pressure is the biggest money going on in the penitentiary. The medical cost for the penitentiary is in the millions and billions as far as medical costs for treating those inmates across the in the United States. Because we have the highest prison rating in the world. We got more prisons than anywhere in the world. So the medical costs for those prisons are skyrocketing every day. And I've talked to the different senators here about getting my seasoning, which is my vegetable seasoning, which is an all-purpose vegetable seasoning, into the prisons. To get back to your question of the differences in the changing when I went from hot wings to spices and everything, it was for that factor. The factor was health. It was about healthy seasonings. I mean, when I was doing my hot wings and everything, that was a sauce. So basically I was putting in other different factors into my sauce, not thinking at that particular point in time of the health benefits that I needed. What brought that on was my mom and my dad. My mom and my dad had high blood pressure and diabetes. And my father had dementia. So he was pissed off every day. Excuse me, I didn't mean to use the term pissed off. But he was pissed off I'm going to use it again. But he was pissed off every day because he couldn't have his sugar in his coffee. He used to take 14, 15 sugars in his coffee. And because I'm his son, when I did sugar, I did too. I mean, we would have a cup of coffee, and then we'll eat a Sara Lee cheesecake with it, and we'll eat some ice cream behind that on top of it. So that's sugar powder on top of sugar powder on top of sugar, which caused me to get real hyped, which caused my dad to get real hyped. And then when I started researching that, I found out it causes dementia. It causes the other one that's like dementia.
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. It causes Alzheimer's. So when you study those different groups of diseases that's hurting the person and hurting the brain, that was my mom and my dad. So I needed to make food taste better for them. So as I was formulating all of the seasonings and stuff, you know, the vegetable seasoning was one of the best ones we had that had it was the lowest in sodium. There was no sugar, but it had the crushed chili peppers help the metabolism. It boosts the metabolism. The paprika that we put in boosts the metabolism. It causes your metabolism to rise because it's a spice. And most spices help your metabolism. So it was helping my dad, you know. Without the sugar and everything, his diabetes was starting to go down. And so I kept him on it. And then I put him on a water diet for 3 months to where no more sugar in your system, no more coffee. You know, you can have coffee but no sugar. And he couldn't do that. He hated that. So I put him on straight water. You know, he ate food, but he drank water. And I made sure that his vegetables had the vegetable seasoning on it. I made sure that the meats that he was eating, because he ate chicken, you know, I took my father and my mom off of beef, you know, and pork. But they were eating chicken and fish and things like that. So I made sure that the seasoning that was going on there had the right nutrients in it when it came down to no, no sugar, very low in sodium. So as they were eating, my father's health started to change when it came down to his diabetes. Now, my father was on the needle for 15 years. When I started giving him the seasoning, and with other factors, taking him off sugar, stuff like that, the nurses that came to the house every day when I was his caregiver kept, tapping his finger for the sugar test, and it was normal every time. And it was like after about 3 months of me doing this to him. And so for the first time in the 15 years my dad was with the VA doctor shows up to the house. Because he wanted to know why is it the test strips weren't coming back positive for the sugar, so he can keep issuing him the little bottles. I mean, the refrigerator was full of that diabetic medication. Like, just ship gallons of it because ain't gonna be no cure, and we ain't gonna try to get him off. He's old. Let's take him to that level. So I didn't respect that. So I took him off of a lot of the medications that they had my dad on. I mean, how you gonna have him on one? You're gonna have him on one for blood pressure going up. You're gonna have him on one for blood pressure going down. Then you're gonna have one to stabilize it. Come on, that's too many medications in the system. He'll never get well. So when I put him on that, he got better. My father still died of dementia, okay, because it was beyond repair. But he didn't have diabetes when he died, okay? He didn't have high blood pressure when he died. He died for brain deterioration from dementia. My mother passed away from esophageal cancer, okay? She had that for a while and never told anybody because my mother used to be an LVN in the hospital I was born in, John Wesley Hospital in LA. And she dealt with cancer patients. So she knew she had cancer. But my mother was bedridden and she got tired of that. She told me one time in the living room, I said she was 80 years old. And I told her, I said, Mama, you're going to live to be 100. She said, no, I'm not. And me being her only son and stuff, and I'm my mama's boy anyway. Mama, don't say that. That hurts. Don't say that. And a year later, my mother passed away from esophageal cancer. She wouldn't tell nobody. By the time I took her to the hospital, she was spitting up black stuff from her esophagus. It was blocking her. It was eating her up. It was blocking her from swallowing, going into her stomach. It would come back up. So when I took her to the hospital, by the time I took her to the hospital, the doctor had said she was in fourth stage, stage 4 cancer in her esophagus. And he told me she had, 9 months, a year to go. And my mother passed away 11 days later, which was devastating to me, So after my mom passed away, my father was still alive. And I had to take care of him. He survived another 5 months after my mom passed, and then he passed. And Irma, my wife, at that time, was my mom and my dad's caregiver. They had sent her and everything, because I was looking for a good caregiver. But 2 weeks before my mom passed away, she told me that was the woman I should marry, because she was a good-hearted person, and my mom loved her. So I did. And after me doing the seasonings for 5 years, I got tired, really. I did. I'm going to be honest with you. After creating the seasoning after 5 years, and constantly mixing it, trying to keep it out there in Mario's and Jimmy's and Simple Sandwich and a lot of other stores that I had locally here in the city, the health department had snatched me out of Mario's because I didn't have my health permit had expired. And so Irma came along and she saw me begging everybody, can you invest here? Can you invest there, in the business so that I can keep the seasoning going. Well, I didn't know she had a little money stashed away. And so one day we had she had kept loaning me different monies to buy this and get that for the seasoning and stuff like that. So she called herself, the first investment she gave me was $20. And she said, I own the company now. She told me that because she put $20, that's her investment money. She put $20 towards this business, so she's a partner now, right? So I was laughing about that. At that time, we were getting ready to get married anyway. So right after we got married in November of 2011, November 1st, put that out there so people will know I don't forget my wedding anniversary. We got married November the 1st, 2011, and I asked her, can you start making the seasoning because I'm tired. Put your twist on it. I'll give you the formula, and then you can either keep that formula going or put your own twist on it. So she said, okay. So all of a sudden, we go down to Michigan because I'm still not having my licensing right and things like that, and I'm trying to get my health permits right so I can get it back into Mario's, right? So we take a bus. We damn near go homeless, man. We take a bus, and I'm figuring like this. She had a car when we met, you know, her own apartment when we met. She was taking care of her business when we met. I mean, matter of fact, she had a pretty good life when we met. You know, she was stable. She was doing her own thing. And Christian woman, you know, praising God every day, you know, prayer warrior, you know, the whole thing, you know. And it was a difference in the lifestyle for me because I was like totally world. I was 360 of my wife, you know. But she still respected what I was doing, and she thought that the seasoning business was a good business, you know. So she took us when we almost was homeless. I couldn't pay the rent no more because the seasoning stopped being at Mario. She said, we need to get to Michigan. I go, okay. So one of my goddaughters, her name was Bray, and I'll put her in this because she did do that. I needed the money to get to Michigan on a bus. So she took her insurance money, $200, $260, matter of fact, and paid for a ticket for both me and my wife, one way to Michigan. I'm trying to figure out why we get a one-way ticket to Michigan. All right, I know we were at that time getting ready to be homeless and getting put out of our apartment and everything, but I didn't want to move to Michigan. You know, I didn't want to move to Lansing or Detroit or anywhere because it's too cold. I'm from Compton. You know, it don't get that cold in Compton. You know what I mean? I'm looking at, you know, over my lifetime, every year, you know, on the television, you know, you see winter. You see people walking in snow blizzards and look like they got on tons of clothes, but they still look like they cold. I don't want that. I'm used to this. Nice short sleeve shirt in the wintertime in California, except at night you got to put on a little jacket, you know, because it get a little nippy. That's it, nippy. Not looking on the television and the dude got the camera on and you can barely see a block away. You guys understand that? You're from Cleveland. So you could barely see a block away. I couldn't do that. I would work for the record industry one time in the 80s. I worked for this record company in the 80s, and I was a national marketing promotion director at the time. They sent me to Chicago to GCI radio, right? I got on a nice double-breasted suit with my t-shirt on, my regular, it was the wintertime. All I had on was some socks, underwear, t-shirt, and a suit with a nice shirt on and everything. I'm on a plane that's already nice and comfortable, and I'm flying in to LaGuardia. No, not LaGuardia, the Chicago, and that airport. I'm flying in to the airport, and you know they got the tunnel heated, you know, and you could feel it, you know, the heat on you. You sharp, you walking sharp. You got your briefcase in. I'm finna go to the radio station to get Lenny Williams on the radio out there, because he was with Tower Power and he was with our record company, and everybody loved him anyway. So I'm going out. Man, them doors did like that, and the limo was sitting right there, wasn't 30 feet away, right, waiting on me. Man, them doors opened up, man. It was supposed to have been something like 4 or 5 degrees below zero. It was snowing out there. The wind in Chicago was blowing like it never blew. I never knew. I stepped out there, got on my phone, because cell phones was just coming out good then. I got on my phone, called the office. I was a national marketing promotion director. I had 35 people working for me. I told them in the office, I'm going back in the airport and I'm getting back on a plane and I'll be back in the spring or I'll be back in the summer. And I did. I can't do cold. Never got the record on GCI. They were looking for me. Yeah, never showed up. They knew I turned around at the airport. They laughed about it afterwards when they called me and talked to me. Y'all, it's too cold out there for me. I'll send somebody that's already working out there to the radio station.